Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this important clip that just came out from Dan Ives giving a statement on Palantir.
I think this is probably, I've never seen a name more misunderstood by the street and probably, one of the biggest misses than the Messi of AI Palantir. Because look, I just think many viewed it as government, three-letter agency, it's CARP. The reality is that it's some of the most innovative technology in the world in terms of what Palantir had done. It was just a matter of them starting to take that from government, focus toward.
Very bullish statement coming out here talking about, the reality is that it's one of the most innovative technologies in the world is what he's saying. And what we see is Palantir has an incredible reversal triggered at this $60 support level that is starting to become more concrete. On top of a Jefferies even giving up to a 60% downside rating in terms of sell. We see a downgrade coming from them. We're going to be talking about everything you need to see because Palantir bounces back up to $63 today, joining the S&P 500 in terms of a green finish in top of the NASDAQ. And in addition, we have NVDA earnings that will be coming out here after the bell. So if you're a new or returning viewer, we're on our goal. My Christmas wish is to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're on track for that right now. Help me hit my wish. And of course, not a financial advisor, collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now pop it up on here. Palantir hit 62.98. Now yesterday's video, we talked about a correction in Palantir, and what we saw here was this large, big red open gap that we saw at the market open in the previous trading session. Palantir had an amazing bounce back, and we saw a lot of buying pressure with 75 million in terms of trading volume coming in at a market cap at about 143 billion. Now, what you see with Palantir is a pullback and a reversal here triggered right at that $60 level. This will become more of an important support zone if we do see more of a correction or selling pressure coming from Palantir, which is incredibly possible, even on top of the Jefferies rating that we will be talking about what their justification is. Hey, it's probably going to be valuation. That is the biggest criticism, of course, across the board right now. But however, Palantir is being a little bit different in the sense. And what I'm seeing personally is that the valuation is being disconnected from what's happening. And if we see a big, I want to say bump in NVIDIA and a positive earnings report tomorrow, I think Palantir still has room to run in this bull market, even with the high, crazy valuation. Of course, there's the risk for downside potential. However, the momentum behind the stock is pretty incredible. And what we're seeing in terms of options, a ton of activity on the calls and on the put side. We have to appreciate both sides at all times. Not, of course, just coming out here talking about Palantir can only go up. Now, the S&P 500 for Palantir is one of the top performers. It's number 2, and it's actually outpacing NVIDIA, right behind Vistra, which is up about 302%. But we see with Palantir up 266% now, year-to-date return is doing incredibly well. And this is where I think Dan Ives has came out and said that a lot of investors missed the name on this. Before, we saw a lot of FOMO that's piling in right now, especially on an institutional weight. We see a lot of institutional buyers that are coming down and actually a decrease in terms of the retail side. Now, talking about Jefferies here, this article comes out about seeing nearly a 60% downside risk for Palantir stock. Let's analyze it. Now, Jefferies, they come out and talk about Palantir's current trading multiple of 43 times for its calendar year 2025 is basically twice or double the amount of the next highest software company. And following the stock's addition right here to the S&P 500, like we mentioned before, we've actually seen retail ownership that has decreased by 7% to 42%, while institutional ownership, respectively, has risen 4 to 3 percentage points to about 27%. So now trading at 43 times the enterprise value to the next 12 months revenue right here. You see the last time that Jefferies is saying and what they're using as an example, the last time they saw such a high magnitude of multiple expansions was during the COVID bubble when many of the high growth names saw their multiples significantly expanded at that time. So he's comparing Palantir, what it's trading at right now, comparatively to what the bubble was in 2020. Now, what they also are talking about here now, more in a normalized macroeconomic environment, Palantir stands alone with a multiple expansion of 4x next to the highest peer for a year-to-date multiple expansion. And what they talk about here is insider trading activity. But we've seen Alex Karp here with the 10b5-1 trading plans, basically talking about their trading plans ahead, has filed to sell another 40 million shares for more than 1.9 billion over the last 3 months. So his current trading plan permits the sale of an additionally approximately another 9 million shares through May of 2025. Now, there's really no big key reasons, in my own personal perspective, to fault the insiders selling Palantir at these astronomical highs. They're really taking advantage of, hey, what are the investors pricing Palantir at? And that is right now above $60 when it was at $40, literally just a few weeks ago, it seems like. So the fact that, you have the big key players that are selling stock, that is not something that I would be uncertain of. And I think for people that are emotionally out there, getting emotionally, oh my God, what's happening? Do they know information that we don't know? A possible option is just follow what they're doing. Profit taking is not a bad thing. What are people getting into the market for? To hopefully make money. And that's exactly what these insiders are doing. They're taking advantage of the very high share price right now, the valuation and the astronomical gains that we've seen, and they are making profit from it. So we're going to probably see that continue across the board as Palantir continues to grow in price. Now, Jefferies comes out here and sets a firm price target of $28, which is interesting because if we kind of look at all the analysts, what they've really came with of an average price target right now is at about $33. So if Palantir has this risk for a downside potential coming down about 60%, that is possible, depending on what's going to be happening with some of the macroeconomic pieces of data. We do know November 26th here that Palantir has also announced with that transformation of their stock being traded on the New York Stock Exchange to the NASDAQ. And this is to really get incorporated into the NASDAQ 100. We saw the drama that came out with Moore regarding his tweet on X, and then his whole account was deleted after that, talking about rewarding the diamond hand retail, giving them tendies, throwing a lot of meme names in there. But in addition to that, the NASDAQ 100, that tracks the QQQ. A lot of traders do trade these top 100 stocks. Palantir is intending to join that with the transformation of them coming over to the NASDAQ. So this, a run appears unsustainable. That's what they're saying. We'll see what happens with time. What do you guys make of that down in the comments? What's happening in the market? Like I said, NASDAQ comes up about 1%. You have these tensions that we've seen, a lot of geopolitical tensions right now. That was kind of all brushed off in today's market. One of the big things is NVIDIA is continuing to surge. We see NVIDIA currently at a price of $147. It actually came up about 5% in the day, including the after hours. So NVIDIA is doing fairly well in terms of earnings that will be coming out tomorrow post-market on November 20th. Earnings per share estimates are at 75 cents with a revenue estimate of $33 billion. It's pretty crazy to look at that. But NVIDIA stock rises on AI spending and chip deal ahead of earnings. Why are we seeing this big push into NVIDIA, especially before earnings? Usually we see more uncertainty. That's what I personally predicted, but no, we see a little bit of news coming in here, and especially with some of the analysts raising their price targets from 180 from 165, Truist raising it from 167 to 148. You can see the overall kind of consensus across the board is they want to raise their price targets. Now, NVIDIA stock also rose in the news right here that one of its customers here, cloud providers, Nebius, is launching its first GPU cluster in the US, which will use up to 35,000 NVIDIA chips. Holy Toledo, 35,000. Talking about these GPUs right here with massive computing power, this is going to be equivalent to about 4% of the volume of Hopper AI chips, and Wall Street analysts expect NVIDIA to have shipped this in the October period, which could be reflected on this earnings report, which is saying here what they declined to comment regarding these matters. Now, so that's where we're seeing some push for NVIDIA. Also with Palantir, where do we see this going? Do we see $70 by the end of the year? Do we see a pullback? Do we see $70 by the end of the week? We don't know. Palantir is on this whole different level. I think we take all technical basis, all valuation justification right now during this run, chuck that out the window, because that's what we're seeing right now on the graph. That's what we're seeing right now, day to day, in terms of reality. what's actually happening in the Palantir stock. It's a wild ride. That's why we're giving you guys all the information you need. If you made it to the end, peace out. Take care. Hit that sub button. I'll catch you guys out later.